Hello, it's Ben with the diyhomefront, and I'm on my zero-turn mower today. We're going to do some maintenance this fall. I'm going to replace the oil, air, and gas filter and put some new spark plugs in it. So, let's get to it. Well, it's a really nice, cool morning outside, and well, this is what my life's like. We've got a 3.5 acre yard, and the puppy dogs have to play right next to me. The engine tune-up kit that I ordered off of Amazon didn't come with the engine oil, but I'll leave the information in the video description below. Well, before we get started, I thought I'd show you that the mower has 158 hours of operation, and I don't know if that's a lot or not. So we've got the engine, and down there, that's where the oil comes out, and we're getting pretty lucky. We can drain it right here. I'm going to start by getting all the dirt and debris off of this drain plug. I really like these hoses that are attached to the engine that let you drain the oil without making a mess. These channel lock pliers will get the job done, but they're awful bulky. You'd probably be better off with an adjustable wrench. That's some pretty dark oil, isn't it? It's probably been a while since I changed that. Let's go ahead and move on to changing the spark plugs out while this oil drains. 2 cylinders, spark plug on each side. To remove the spark plug wire, you just grab it and yank and it should pop off. They make special sockets to pull spark plugs out that have like a rubber boot in the end of them, and that's supposed to help keep from breaking off the ceramic tip. I'm not sure what socket size I use, but I did use a socket design for spark plugs. And I've never really super tightened up the spark plugs in any of my lawnmowers. It makes them a lot easier to come out. So the gap on the new spark plugs in this kit are already supposed to be set. And you can see how much better they look than the 2 old ones I took out. The spark plugs in both cylinders get replaced the same way. I'll hand start them so I don't strip the threads. Then I'll slip the socket on and turn them by hand until I can't turn them anymore. And then it's time just to snug them up really good with the wrench. And lastly, attach the spark plug wires. The new air filter actually has a secondary dust cover that goes around the outside edge. And you'll have to stretch that around it and make sure that it covers up all the pleats the best you can before you put it on the lawnmower. To remove the old air filter, you have to pop a cover and then pop a latch that holds it in place. And it is dirty. The gasket on the new air filter is going to make it a lot harder to get pushed on. So it's going to take a little bit of effort. But once you do that, you just pop the metal clip back over the top of the filter and close the cover. Well, all the oil seems to have drained out of the engine, so I'm going to go ahead and insert the plug before I tighten it up with the channel lock pliers. There's a small metal clip that secures the fuel line to the side of the engine. And I'm going to undo that and lift this hose up and put it out of the way so I can get to the oil filter. That little clear cup is actually the gas filter. And we're going to replace that after we get this oil filter changed out. I'll put a rag under this oil filter to try to catch some of the oil that's going to leak out. And with a good twist, you should be able to get the oil filter off if it hasn't been put on too tight. The oil filter itself will hold about 1/2 cup of oil, so when you take it off, make sure you hold it upright so it doesn't pour out. The oil filter was the only thing that actually had a part number on it. And this oil filter goes for a Kohler engine model number SV725. You'll need to lubricate the rubber gasket of the oil filter with some engine oil before you install it. These oil filters are never where you can actually see the threads, so just take a minute and make sure you get it started right so you don't cross thread it. The motor oil is making everything slippery, so I need to clean this all up before I can hand tighten this. And when it's finally on and you're going to tighten it up, only tighten it as tight as you can get it by hand. If you do over tighten it, you're going to spend a lot of time the next time you go to change the oil filter trying to get that filter off. Next, we'll go ahead and replace the fuel filter. There should be 2 clips on each side of the fuel filter that you should be able to squeeze with a pair of pliers and slide them out of the way. Then you can twist the fuel filter and get it out. Now you need to pay attention when you take the fuel filter off. There should be an arrow somewhere on it that tells you what direction the fuel is supposed to flow. And it needs to flow from the gas tank to the engine. So the arrow should be pointing towards the engine, not the gas tank. I've got the fuel line run across the top of the engine, but you might need to crimp the fuel line to make sure no fuel comes out when you're replacing this fuel filter. If you're not sure how old your fuel filter is, take a look at it. If it's a deep yellow like mine was, it's been a while since it's been replaced. Now I'll need to take the hose crimps and get them with a pair of pliers and put them back where they were before we can move on to putting oil in the engine. This lawnmower engine takes just plain old 30 weight oil, and I'm going to use a funnel to help pour it into the engine. I ended up putting about 1.5 quarts of oil in this engine, but I kept checking the dipstick, and I'll check it one more time after I start it up and run it for a few minutes. And don't forget to recycle your used motor oil. I take mine to one of the parts stores that has a recycling program. And here's another look at all those parts we replaced. It was definitely time for it. Well, the cutting season's almost over, but we've got the maintenance on the Zero-Turn completed. That only means one thing. We're going to move on to other projects in this DIY homestead. So like, subscribe, and check out my playlist, and I'll see you in that next video.